Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever time of the day it is out there. My name is Carmelo Pinzoni. I'm a math instructor for the College of Southern Nevada in Henderson, Nevada, which is just outside of Las Vegas. I've been an instructor for 7 years, teaching students mathematics so they can obtain their high school diplomas. I've worked a lot with the students, and I'm going to present several videos on different mathematical concepts. So again, this is my first video there, so hopefully it comes out good. So our first topic of conversation today is going to be pre-algebra and working with the signed integer rules. This is the foundations for many of algebra and geometry concepts that you're going to be studying in the future. So this video is pretty much going to be the foundation and the layout plan for dealing with signed integers. If you understand how to work with the signed integers and their different operations, algebra, geometry, and even trigonometry are going to be a whole lot easier to tackle and pass. So without further ado, if you like what you see and what you've learned on this video should be no more than 10 to 15 minutes, I'm guessing, maybe go to 20 minutes. Hit that subscribe button below, and there'll be more videos in the future on different aspects. So hopefully this comes out good, and you're going to learn some good things on the signed integers. And I have an attached worksheet with the 4 signed integer rules. If you like a copy of that, I would like to have your email address. You can post it in the comment section below, and I will certainly attach that for you there. It is a Word document, and we're going to see that a little later on throughout the video. So without further ado, let's go on and start talking about the signed integer rules. I'm going to switch off my face here so we can go right to the board here. Pre-algebra, working with signed integers. Let me shut off the overhead light so we can see the screen better. Take it from there. Okay, so working with the signed integer rules. There are 4 rules to work with here. So what we're going to start off with is addition. The good news is everybody to this point already know half of the rules. We already know how to add and subtract. We know how to do this since the 3rd or the 4th grade. 15 minus 2 is, again, 13. So we pretty much have this handled here since pretty much the 3rd and the 4th grade. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take and apply some of these concepts over into the 7th grade world. So what we're going to do first is understand how to work with the signed integers and what they are. Anytime we add something, or there's a plus sign on the left side of our integer. An integer is nothing more than a number, whether it's positive, 0, or negative. They are not fractions, they are not decimals. So anytime I have addition, I'm going to get money. Whether Bob or John pays me or I find money, plus is always getting money. So remember that there. This is going to be a very easy concept to understand. We deal with money on different things. We get money, we get paid a paycheck when we work. Subtraction. Spend money. Anytime I subtract an integer, I'm going to spend that money. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to pay $7 for groceries. That's money that I'm going to lose. I'm going to spend money. So right now we have our concepts here in order here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to assign directions. Right now, I'm just laying out the basic foundations, how we're going to end up coming up with the answers we're going to see later on. So we're going to apply the sign directions. Anytime we're getting money or we're adding, we're going to point that to the right. It's just a half an arrowhead here. We're just going to point that to the right. Anytime we're spending money or we're going to subtract something, we're going to point it to the left. This is going to be important because later on we're going to be assigning sign directions, and then we're going to apply those integer rules a little later on in our video. Okay, so now we know addition points to the right, subtraction points to the left. Remember that. That's going to be very critical in how we're going to apply our integer sign rules. Okay, so right now I'm going to share a worksheet. And again, if this worksheet you really like, and I do consider it very highly that you will want this worksheet. Just an 8x11 piece of paper. You can print this out however you like. It's a Word document. That's all it is here. There are 4 integer rules. So we're going to start off with rule number 1. When the integer sign directions are the same, then add the integers up and keep the sign you are working with. So that's going to be our first integer rule that we're going to be working with here today. And again, send me your email if you want this worksheet sent to your account. We're going to be back on the board here. So what does it mean when the integer sign directions are the same? Well, we've been doing this all along. We know that 4 plus 8 is 12. We know this since the 3rd grade. Let's apply the 7th and the 8th grade pre-algebra strategy and how we're going to come up with this 12. If there is no sign incoming on an integer, it's always plus. It's a positive number. So here I'm going to get $4. Someone's going to give me $4. Point it to the right. Now I'm going to be adding this 8 here. Well, it's plus 8. Someone's giving me $8. They're just going to hand me $8. That points to the right also. Well, 4 and 8, the sign directions, are they pointing in the same direction? They're both pointing right. So this is a rule 1 definition. So rule 1 says when integer signs are the same, you add the numbers and you keep the sign that you're working with. Well, if everything is positive here, then the final answer has to be positive. When we're working with integer sign rules, it is very easy to get these rules mixed up here. So make sure that you are paying attention, that you're taking good notes here. And you're going to do just fine here. It's going to be very easy to mix up rule 1 and eventually rule 4, which we're going to talk about later on. So right now, 4 and 8, these are both positive. We're both getting money. They're both pointing to the right. Add them up. 4 plus 8 is 12. Assign the signs that you're working with you. Well, both integers are positive. Positive 12, final answer. Now, sometimes we're going to be dealing with integers that have a negative sign in front of it here. We have a negative here. Now, if it's a negative, we're going to lose money. We're going to spend money. We're going to go to the store. We're going to spend $7 for groceries. That goes to the left. Subtraction, we're going to subtract 11. Again, a negative or subtraction, we're spending money, we're going to point it to the left, just like that. Now take a look here. Are the sign directions the same or are they different directions? They're both pointing to the left. They're both pointing in the same direction. This is a rule 1 classification. Add them up. So in this case, we're going to add up, even though we got a subtraction sign here. We're going to add them up here. 7 plus 11 is going to be 18. Now we're going to keep the sign that we're working with since we're under rule number 1, sign rules. Both of these are negative. Both of these I've spent money on. The final answer has to be negative. And let's take a look here hypothetically what's going on here. I'm spending $7 at grocery store A on groceries. I'm going to spend another $11 at grocery store B. Both of these, this is negative, this is subtraction. I spent money here. So I've spent a total of $18. Or I've lost $18. However you want to understand that there. That's how you got to realize these rules here. So getting money is addition. Spending money, subtraction. Let's apply this a little further. Sometimes in pre-algebra, they like to do this here to get students ready for algebra. I don't particularly care for this end of it here, but this is how the books and the teachers want to teach it here. If this was my choice in instruction, I wouldn't even bother with this part. But nonetheless, it's there. We're going to try to get to as best as we can here. See these parentheses here? This is the first one here. So we got a -7 here. Anytime it's negative here like this, again, we're going to spend money. Point it to the left. Now, we're going to be adding here, but we're going to be adding a negative. This is where students are a little confused with this here. Adding a negative is the same thing as subtraction. I'm adding a bill here. I'm adding a $12 gas bill or electric bill, however you want to call it. It's the same thing as subtraction. I'm going to spend money here. -12 is spent money. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this here, and some students take it, some students are not comfortable with it here, but this is how I like to get rid of the parentheses and whatnot. There's times you can get rid of parentheses, sometimes you can't get rid of parentheses. So -7 here, it's under parentheses here. We can just remove the parentheses and write it out like that. That's fine. Now, this adding a negative, I like to call it subtraction. Adding a negative is subtraction. So this is one way to simplify this a little better. If you don't like this, some students are okay with it. I never was comfortable with it, and I realized adding a negative is the same thing as subtraction. So again, left and a left pointer. Left pointer. Left pointer. Rule 1. Add the integers. Well, 7 plus 12 is 19. Keep the sign you're working with because both of these are money I spent at the stores. So I've spent a total of $19. Same thing here. If you remove this here, that's totally fine here. And again here, the -7 points left, subtracting 12 points left. Add them up. Keep the sign you're working with here. That's rule 1. I spent $19. So whichever way you want to understand this is totally fine with me here. Just so long that we get -19 as our final answer. So that is rule 1, how it works here. And these integer rules are going to help us simplify expressions. You got x's and y's, and we're going to talk about polynomials in another video. Right now, we're just working with the sign integer rules. Understanding this is going to help us understand how we simplify expressions a little later on. I'm going to provide some examples here. You can pause the video, work on those examples. Let's say we have here -3 minus 4 minus 9 plus -6, 15 plus 13. A couple easy ones there for you, just to realize that, you know, we're still, and if it looks like a third grade problem, treat it as a third grade problem. I mean, everything is positive, you know what to do there. But I had to start off with a third grade problem in order to introduce a 7th and 8th grade strategy in these kind of problems. -5 minus 15 minus 8 minus 1, and 9 plus 2. Do that there. Okay, pause the video, and then you can go ahead and work on these problems here, because right now I'm going to show the answers. Okay, hopefully everybody got a chance to work on these problems here. And again, assign the sign directions first. Eventually you should be able to get proficient with this stuff here, but a lot of us are still learning and still maybe not comfortable with that. Negatives, point left. Subtractions, point left. These are all Rule 1 examples. You add them up. Keep the sign you're working with. I spent $3 at store A. I'm going to spend another $4 at store B. I spent a total of $7. I'm in a whole $7. I spent that money. Now here, negative 9 plus a negative 6. Remember I talked about adding a negative? Just going to write that down here in simpler form. Take out the parentheses, negative 9, and then adding a negative here, we're going to subtract. Now notice there's an operation here. Eventually we're going to see parentheses together, neck and neck there. We're going to see that in Rule 4. That's later on, so don't worry about multiplying right now. Right now I am instructed to add a negative or subtraction. So we're not going to end up subtracting because we're going to look at the integer sign rules. Now remember, when you see subtraction, don't automatically assume it is subtraction. You got to see what direction the signs are going for both of these integers. Negative, left, subtraction, left. 9 and 6, that's 15. Keep the sign you're working with. I spent $15. And to finish up these problems here, negative points left, subtraction points left. Again, they are pointing in the same direction. Rule 1 situation, 5 plus 15 is 20. Keep the sign you're working with. Again, Rule 1, we're going to be adding. That's all we're going to do here. We're not subtracting anything here. Negative 8 minus 1. Left pointer, subtraction, another left pointer. Same sign directions, add them up. 9. Keep the sign you're working with, negative. This one here, 9 plus 2. We got a right pointer. We're getting money. We're going to be adding money, so we're going to be getting money there too. We're going to add them up here. Now here, we're going to leave the positive sign off because without the sign, it is understood that the integer is positive. 9 plus 2, simple 11 here. Almost forgot about that one. 15, getting $15. Addition, I'm going to get $13 more. 5 plus 3 is 8. 28, keep the sign you're working with here. We're going to leave it as positive 28. So that, my friends, is rule number 1. The sign directions point the same. Add the integers. Keep the sign you're working with in the original integers. That's all there's to it. That's rule 1. Okay, let's go on to rule number 2. I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to make sure that I am still in recording mode here. Actually, I'm still in recording mode. I did not know that. Okay, so let me just close this off here. Again, first video, learning the ropes of recording a video. What we're going to do now, we're going to work with rule number 2. Let's go on and bring that up here on our sheet here again. You want this worksheet? Send me an email. I'm going to attach it in your email here. Okay. Rule number 2. When the integer sign directions are different, subtract. Big takeaway small. And keep the sign of the larger integer. Okay. Let's see how we're going to work with that. And actually, we've been doing this pretty much all our lives. 16 minus 2. We know 16 minus 2 is 14 since about the 3rd or the 4th grade. Let's apply the 7th and the 8th grade strategy and see how we're going to get to 14. 16 is positive. Point it right. Getting money points to the right. Plus, point to the right. Subtraction, remember I said, points to the left. Now the integer signs are pointing in different directions. I got a right pointer and I got a left pointer. They're different directions. So I'm going to apply rule 2, integer rules here, and say subtract. And I say big take away small because sometimes you're going to have a small number here and a big number here. We're going to see how we're going to handle that later. Right now we're going to do 16 minus 2, which is 14. Now we're going to keep the sign from the larger integer. Well, 16 is magnitudely larger and it's positive. We're going to carry this as a positive, so our final answer is going to be positive 14. And again, if it looks like a 3rd grade problem, you can solve it in a 3rd grade fashion, go for it, do it. I'm just showing you 3rd grade, and we're going to apply the 7th and the 8th grade strategy to these kind of problems. Let's say we have 3 minus 14. And that's most important. You got to apply the direction to see which rule you're going to use. Right now we're working with rule number 2. 3 is positive. Getting money, positive, points to the right. Subtracting, points to the left. The sign directions are different. We got a right pointer and a left pointer. We're going to subtract. 14 minus 3 is 11. Big takeaway small. Now we're going to keep the sign from the larger integer. Well, 14 is larger and it's sharing this negative here. We're going to carry that to the final answer. Let's talk about it in layman's terms. What's going on here? I have $16. I have $16 in my hand. I'm going to subtract $2. I'm going to lose. I'm going to spend $2 at the corner store. I have $14 left. Positive. Now here, we have something what's called, we're going to be in a hole. We have an overdraft situation. Let's say I have $3. And hypothetically, I'm going to spend $14 or I'm going to write a check. Writing a check is also negative. So 3 minus 14, I'm going to be in a hole $11. I'm $11 away from break even. What's break even? 0 is break even. Here's your number line. These are your positives. And again, be left of 0. Negatives, -1, -2, etc. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. -3 and -4. This is break even here. You'll hear me using this terminology a lot in different applications if I do get a chance to do more videos online for us here. Here we've spent money, we're in a hole. We're down money, whatever it is. Here we're going to be up money here. We're going to have money. So that's rule 2, how rule 2 works here. If the sign directions are different, subtract, big takeaway small. Keep the sign from the larger integer. Couple more examples. Sometimes the incoming integer is already negative. Let's call it like that. Let's take a look here, see what's cooking here. And again, don't assume that you're going to be addition here. You have to assign the directions in order to apply the right integer rule. If you don't do that from the start, you forget about it. We're not going to get anything right in algebra or geometry. -9, spent money to the left. Addition, plus, Getting money, point to the right. Sign directions are pointing in different directions. We got a right pointer and then we got a left pointer. This is rule 2. Big takeaway small, 17 minus 9 is 8. Keep the sign from the larger integer. Well, the larger integer is 17 is magnitudely larger. It's sharing plus. It's going to be positive 8. I'm going to leave the plus sign out because when you do different things in algebra, if it is a positive result, the sign is left off. Negative 6 plus 2. Negatives point left. Positives point right. Rule 2 situation here. We're going to subtract. Big takeaway small. 6 minus 2 is 4. Keep the sign from the larger integer. Well, 6 is magnitudely larger. It's sharing a minus sign. Apply it. Does it make sense? Do these make sense? We can take a quick peek here to see if things make sense. In the mathematical world, it's not just about trying to come up with a result and be done with it. Does it make some sense? If I'm down $9 and I'm going to get $17, see, this is a bigger value than this here. So it looks like I'm gonna get over break even. I'm gonna get over 0. So that's good. I have $8 here, and that makes sense. 17 minus 9 is 8. Keep the sign from the larger integer. Here, however, I'm down $6. Somebody gave me $2. I'm still down $4. That's the layman's terms of dealing with these guys. So whichever way you like. I like to show this. I like to teach this in my beginning classes. And it does seem to work for my classes on how to deal with these integer rules. I hope you liked the video. I'm going to talk about integer rules 3 and 4 in another video. Right now, I think we've covered enough here. So right before we go, a couple examples. You can pause the video, and then I'll put up the answers. Minus 11 plus 2. 12 minus 16. Minus 7 plus 13. Minus 14 plus 2. 10 minus 17. And then minus 4 plus 7. Let you pause the video. And now I'm going to fill in the answers. Okay, minus 11. Down money, points left. I'm going to get $2, point it to the right. Rule 2. Subtract. 11 minus 2 is 9. Keep the sign from the larger integer. 11 is magnitudely larger. Here's a negative sign. Negative 9, final answer. 12 minus 16. 12 points right. It's positive. Minus 16, subtractions, point left. Big takeaway small. 16 minus 12 is 4. Keep the sign from the larger integer. Well, 16 is magnitudely larger. It's sharing a minus sign. This final answer has to be negative. Negative 7 points left. Positive 13 points right. Sign directions pointing in different directions. That's a rule 2 situation. 13 minus 7 is 6. Keep the sign from the larger integer. Well, 13 is the magnitudely larger integer, showing a positive. This final answer is positive. Let's go on to this one here. Negatives point left, positives point right. 14 minus 2, again, the sign directions are different. I'm going to subtract here. 14 minus 2 is 12. Keep the sign from the larger integer. Well, that's the 14. It's sharing a minus sign. Put the minus sign there. Final answer is negative 12. Next one, 10 is positive, pointed to the right. Minus 17 points left, negative. Sign directions are different. Subtract 17 minus 10 is 7. Keep the sign from the larger integer. Again, I'm working with rule 2. You got to keep the sign from the larger integer to be correct, so you apply the correct sign here in the final result. It's negative, so final answer is negative 7. All right, final one here, negative 4 points left, positive 7 points right. Signs are in different directions. Rule 2 says 7 minus 4 is 3. And keep the sign from the larger integer. Well, the 7 is magnitudely larger. It's sharing a positive. Positive 3 is the final answer. I'm not going to show a plus 3 here because when the answer and results are positive, the plus sign is left off. Okay, I hope everybody enjoyed this video here. Please subscribe to my videos. If you like, please send me a like. If you have any questions, I will answer those as we go along there. For now, have a wonderful day there. Look for my other videos very soon. Have a wonderful day. We're going to look at integer rules 3 and 4 very soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.